Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for returning to this hall for this discussion. If I could remind you, please, to make sure that your mobile phones are on silent. The fourth industrial revolution will bring immense benefits. To fuel it, business and nations will need the best talent, harnessing the ability of all our people of every gender, creed, orientation and accessibility. Women are absolutely central to the knowledge economy and our connected digital future. To lead the discussion on this vital topic, I'm delighted to introduce the founder and chief executive officer of 1 Million Startups. Please welcome Selma Prodanovic and her panel.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today in this beautiful city on this important conference and moderating such an important topic, talking about half of the population of the world. Welcome to the international panel discussion of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Our topic today is Industry Needs Women, Women's Entrepreneurship and Economic Empowerment in the Context of Digitalization. My name is Selma Prodanovic. I am a passionate entrepreneur, a startup investor, and the founder of 1 Million Startups, supporting startups that are dedicated to the Sustainable Development Goals. I would like to use this opportunity to highlight that this event is made possible due to the support of the government of the Russian Federation, to UNIDO's work in promoting inclusive and sustainable industrial development at large, and in the area of women's economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, and leadership specifically. I would like to welcome the fantastic panel that we have here today. It is really exciting because we have different stakeholder views on the issue, and I hope we will have a very dynamic discussion of short questions and answers and really discussing it from a different point of view, but also giving great examples and maybe steps and tools that you can take home and be using for the future empowerment. Allow me to start with Ms. Gulnaz Kadyrova, the Deputy Minister of Industry and Trade of the Russian Federation, a long-standing partner of UNIDO in the promotion of women's economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Ms. Fatou Haidara, the Managing Director at the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, who also formerly served as served in the government of Mali in different functions, so has the views also in these different ways. Ms. Salma Nims, Secretary General of the Jordanian National Commission for Women, prominent consultant to governments and has a long-standing experience in really promoting women issues. Ms. Veronika Peshkova, UNIDO Goodwill Ambassador, an entrepreneur herself and an advocate to women's economic empowerment, but really also showing us the example of how to work with big organizations and civil society at the same time. And last but not least, Ismail Al Abdullah, CEO of Strata Manufacturing based in the United Arab Emirates, and who is going to talk about the private perspective really of the private sector and how we can proceed on that. Thank you for being with us. It is a great pleasure. We will start with Ms. Kadyrova. You will be speaking in Russian just for everybody to get ready with the translations. And I would like to ask you, in your opinion, what is the role of governments in facilitating women's access to modern high-tech industries, and also which policies does the government of Russian Federation really realize?
Hello, dear friends. Thank you very much, Selma, for your question. Indeed. Being here at GMIS for several days, we are discussing that the world is changing And the changes are so complex and so wide-ranging that I cannot even come up with anything that compares to this in the history of mankind. What is happening with the industry? How is it changing? Advanced manufacturing technologies are changing the shape of industries, not just in Russia, but elsewhere. The industry is becoming more digitalized. And at the cornerstone of these processes is the digital technology. What does the government do? We have a project called the Digital Economy. It has 6 federal-level projects in it, and one of those projects is dedicated to personnel training and education. And today I would like to talk about what are those talents in our industry, how many of them are women. We did a study, and we discovered that we have unfortunately, a low number of women enrolling in technical specialties. In the industry, it's just 20%, which is much less than in other areas. Why is this happening? This is probably because they don't see themselves in the manufacturing industry. But if the industry is changing, if its face is changing, it's becoming more digitalized and digital-based, then this probably means that there are more opportunities that open up to women. And what do facilities do? Only 34% of facilities, industrial facilities, have their own strategies for digitalization. And we believe that this is a low percentage, and we need to start thinking about how to change this. We need to develop personnel. We need to develop a strategy for involving personnel to these facilities. And as part of this national project, that's what we're going to focus on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction, and we'll go into more details afterwards. And I would like to, Ms. Haidara, really, from your point of view, when seeing from UNIDO, why is it important to promote gender issues and equality, the role of UNIDO in that space, and where are we going towards the SDGs?
Thank you, Selma. You said it already. Women are half of the world population. So what do we want to achieve without women? The SDG 5 stands for that. The international community realizes that without women involvement, we can't achieve the Sustainable Development Agenda. At UNIDO, it's even encoded in our mandate, because UNIDO's mandate is inclusive and sustainable industrial development. For us to achieve industrialization, it takes women involvement. Actually, there are figures who say that if we manage to close the gap through industries, we can add between 10 to 17 trillion US dollars to world GDP. So it shows how it's important to involve women in the economic sphere. At UNIDO, we do it at different levels because we know there are so many challenges. We talk about that later, but there's so many challenges that we need to address women economic empowerment at the macro level, at meso level, and at a micro level. So UNIDO with partners are working towards that. It's a big challenge. Some studies say that if we go along the current path, it will take us 200 years to achieve gender equality. I don't think anybody here is ready to wait 200 years for that. So this is what UNIDO stands for, and we are doing that with our partners, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank the Russian Federation for their support in UNIDO's activities towards gender and women empowerment.
Thank you very much for that statement. Talking about 200 years, how many of us will be living that long, but maybe with all the technological development that is ahead of us, it might be possible. Well, let's see on the examples of, I would like to ask you, Mr. Ali Abdullah, in terms of your company, what is it what you have done, and why do you do that? Why do you see that as an issue that is important for you as a company, as a business?
Thank you, Salma. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So there is a growing consensus among chiefs and business leaders that economic opportunity and economic of women has positive correlation with the financial performance of companies. Today, leaders of companies are entrusted to maximize the value for shareholders sustainably. Sustainability means sustainable financial returns, environment protection, operating within the corridors of your respective industry, but most importantly, having a balanced workforce. I work for a company called Strata. We manufacture aircraft parts for the likes of Airbus and Boeing. In 2010, when we started the company, we have developed a clear roadmap for talent acquisition and talent development. We did not have the jobs that we've created before in the UAE, aerostructure technicians, non-destructive testing technicians. All of these jobs were not there in the UAE. We've teamed up with UAE University to create a dedicated training programs. And I'll be very honest with you, when we've put this roadmap, we were clear that we're gonna be gender neutral as well as color neutral. This means that we wanted to create a clean playing level field for everyone. And today, I'm proud to say that 52% of the workforce at Strata are actually female. And the story in the UAE does not, the development of women in the UAE is not only in one sector. There are other great examples. For example, within our national oil company, we have 2 companies being run by 2 female CEOs. And this is the first in our region.
It's wonderful to have you here on the panel and talk about it. This is a picture that we often do not see, really, and this is really important to be able to discuss things. And we will go more into details. But now talking about that, Ms. Nims, you've been on that path, really, on empowering women. Could you tell us a bit more about what have you done and how important that has been, and about your work, and also this relationship that you've had between civil society and the government that you are facing?
Thank you so much. I want to just reinforce the importance of political will when it comes to the issue of actually having women, the concept of women empowerment and achieving gender equality. And maybe because we are focusing here on the digital world, I would rather focus on talking about the global field that we're talking about here and the opportunities that it is creating. We're not talking about only SDG 5 here, because equality among women and making women able to enter the market in all fields is about achieving sustainable development. So it's about having all goals, taking them into consideration. So today, I think the importance of this event is about how do we harness this opportunity for achieving gender equality for sustainable development as well. And again, this is a field of opportunity. The digital world, the digitalization has created new jobs, new types of services, new sectors that are coming up, and new markets, which means that we have an opportunity for women to enter, not only looking at the challenges, but I'll come to challenges very quickly and how we can work around them. The digital world and the digitization has allowed working away from home, allowed flexible hours, allowed working in remote areas, and it started to, and this is very important, to have the ability to reach different skills, diversified skills, to improve businesses across regions and across geography. So this is really an area for women also to build on, women entrepreneurs, as well as women who are looking for work in the labor market. And this ability to reach the international, the outreach for international field. And it also raised the ability for women to be self-employed. And women has, although it's still, there is still a gap, but actually since 2001, self-employment has risen for women in the whole world. However, there are many challenges, and what we need to look at in an organization like the National Women Commission and working with the civil society and the governments and the private sector, because really this is not only about one partner, it's really about us all working together, is looking at the challenges and how to deal with them. For example, of course, also new types of jobs means displacement and the possibility of losing in some areas of jobs and actually possibilities in new jobs. So what we need to focus on is reskilling, bridging the knowledge and skills gap, and promote long life learning and new ways of teaching. And these are all areas that, for example, we work on when, as a commission, which is a national machinery, in the field of the National Women's Strategy. When we develop the National Women's Strategy, we look at these sectors: education and vocational training, linking private sector, how the government would link the work with the private sector with the areas of training, and how to link them as in the Russian Federation is happening. Of course, but we need to also, and this is very important, while we think of the private sector as very important, we should not forget the role of the government in policy making, because working in a digital world, having jobs that are off digital contracts, working with companies in what is called now gig economy, might mean that women could lose benefits. They might not be in social security. They might not have secure jobs. They might not have access to maternity leave. So we need to ensure that policies are also responsive to the changing nature of access to job opportunities. And this is, again, an area that we work with the government with. We have a commission called the National Commission for Pay Equity, where the Ministry of Labor and the Jordanian National Commission heads, and it includes all stakeholders. And we look at the different aspects, the labor associations, the business partners, of how to ensure that whatever changes come to the market, we are responding to them when it comes to policy making and legislation. We also need to think about the issue of the possibility of deepening of inequality. And this is about SDG 10. And we're not only talking about deepening inequality globally, because we know that many countries have missed the second and the third industrial revolution. So how do the North and South connect in order for us to move beyond this late? And I think that there are many companies at the global level, very excellent examples, that are actually working in our developing regions. We have to look at how India and China have come across and become leaders in this global economy, although we see, and this created possibilities for women and men in those regions. But for example, in countries like Jordan, we have to look at the geographical inequality as well. For example, women in the capital might have access to the fiber optics, but those who are in the margins, they're not. So although they are women have the knowledge, and I would say I'm very proud of Jordanian women, that even in the margins, they have businesses, they're using Facebook and WhatsApp to sell their products to the center. And they are actually using new transportation through website, through smart apps in order to sell their products. But it's also about access, and that's the important thing. And we need to also look at that divide and how we can work about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, it is about the access, definitely, to that. Ms. Peshkova, you are, as a UNIDO Goodwill Ambassador. I find it fantastic to be supporting entrepreneurship and women. But what do you see as the role is really kind of trying to, going back to this, our topic of women and the fourth industrial revolution, what is the role of women in really getting into a smooth transition, if that is possible at all? What do you see there?
Thank you very much for such an interesting question. The fourth industrial revolution, and this is the era we live in, is something that, on the one hand, provides women with a lot of opportunities, with tremendous opportunities. And they are associated with the ability to start their own business, to work remotely, to be flexible about their working hours, And this is something that would allow women to be economically active on the one hand and be housewives on the other. And the development of digital and information technologies is something that has given a very tremendous impetus to the development of women entrepreneurship and employment worldwide. However, according to forecasts, up to 47% of existing jobs may be automated as a consequence of economy digitalization. And many of these traditional jobs are now being filled by women. I'm talking about standard office services, sales, and there is a tremendous possibility that these jobs will be gone, will vanish, but others will come up to replace them. The creative industry sphere is growing faster than the economy on average. And this is where women are at least as competitive as men are. But what is really important for development and for women empowerment is this. I would like to support Selma in what she said about the need to effectively organize and to organize an effective dialogue between the government, the private, and the public sectors. And today, issues of women empowerment is a very topical issue worldwide. And these are the goals that should become a part of inclusivity policies. There are several approaches to this. There are several groups of goals that may be attained. Certain things may be mandated legislatively. Other things can be done voluntarily by joining certain strategies and initiatives. You can set your goals as very specific KPIs. For example, to have as many women involved in the economy at the level of, and so on and so forth, or increase the level of women entrepreneurs to this level, and so on.
One important part of work is methodology. What I mean is that we use various success stories to promote our goals, or we help recruitment agencies, companies, organizations to recruit women. Another point, we have certain ideals, we have information about best practices that we take into account and make use of. Let me give an example that we have offered to the Russian Federation, something that is based on the Council of Eurasian Women's Forum that works in this country. It's a good dialogue between public and private sector in development of women's agenda in different fields. At the time of Industry 4.0, we need to use best practices and scale them up. An international organization like UNIDO, in pursuing certain policies at different levels, that is a comprehensive approach to this mission. It will be helpful in raising women's participation in startup businesses and in established corporations. It's also important to get academic organizations more involved. Women are less involved in digital agenda. Even those women that deal with issues of digital transformation in academic organizations have lower level of collaboration with corporations, with the private sector.
The Thank you for this approach, and I would like to go back to one thing that you just said earlier. It is about this role models and how difficult it is or how important it is to use that to promote and increase the participation. And I would like to know more about how did you do it in your company, basically? Was it just, you have a decision, now we're going to have more women, and it happened, or you had to really do something for it to happen? What kind of efforts did you do? Are there any best practices that you could share, and something that maybe others could be using in some way?
I believe in our case, it started with the vision of the late founder of the UAE, Sheikh Zayed, may his soul rest in peace. He stressed the importance of involving women in economic development, and we had that vision as a compass to work toward. This is why when we started back in 2010, we've developed actually, and we laid off the foundation and the plans to upskill, retool the population of ladies or female that we have within the city of Al Ain, because we are operating in the city of Al Ain, to bring them up to a level that they can participate in growing strata. In addition to this, what we are doing today, we are looking at the fourth industrial revolution and how that's gonna impact the company, how that's gonna impact the workforce. Today, I think you are hearing about two different camps. One camp is saying that it might be a zero-sum game. The number of jobs that will be lost due the fourth industrial revolution and introducing robotics and AI will be the same number of jobs created. There is a different camp that's saying no. From my perspective, I think the fourth industrial revolution represents a unique opportunity to bridge the gender gap that we have today, that my colleague here on my left-hand side referred to. Last time I checked, it was 110 years. Now we are 200 years. That's huge. So from my perspective, governments are recalibrating their policies in order to ensure that they are ready for the next phase of growth, or the fourth industrial revolution. Some countries have actually did not make it in the second and third revolution, as Selma said here also. From my perspective, I think if governments put the right plans, and from my perspective, the right plans is about actually education. We have to make sure that we equip the young generation with the right tool to develop and grow the country and the company. And this is what we are doing at Strata. Recently, we've introduced a number of robotics on our production lines. And what we have done, we are upskilling our resources to run these machines and robotics.
Could you maybe just give me a more specific example of exactly what kind of education or program that you have? I would just like to, maybe it's an idea that could inspire others to use that, so that we don't stay on that level we're doing it. That would be really great.
So what we have done is that we've teamed up with the UAE University, okay? It is the oldest university in the UAE, and we have created a dedicated training program for technicians. The program spans 22 months. We take high school graduates, okay? We put them through this program, 10 months at the university. After that, 12 months at Strata, where they need to accumulate 1,700 hours to be certified as aerostructures technicians or non-destructive testing technicians and other disciplines that we have. For the engineers, what we have done, we've created a custom-made program that spans 3 years within Strata, with an additional year at one of the partners' facilities worldwide. And the women participation in the first program, you will be surprised, 90% actually of the participants in that program, in the technicians program, are female. That had nothing to do before with aerostructures or aerospace. On the engineering side, 67% of the participants are female.
Well, now I'm curious, why do you think that happened? I mean, what's the secret sauce that you have used to have that kind of reaction of female participants towards STEM? We know it is
I cannot say it's 100% plan. My boss is here, so I have to be very careful with this answer. So I think 50% of it, we planned it, and 50%, I'll be very honest with you, it was sheer luck. We were located in the city of Al Ain. We had a captive pool of talent that was eager to enter into industry, and they required one thing only: reskilling and upskilling and retooling.
That's really good. It's about also the timing, to being at the right time and the right place. I would like to continue with you. I mean, you as a UNIDO, you're representing UNIDO, working with UNIDO and the UN organization. You're such a big organization and working on a global scale. What is that you can say are examples of how women initiatives can be promoted, empowerment? Are there possibilities that you can use cases like these and transpond them to other places? Please let us know about your experience there.
Thank you. I think there are two key elements here. It's partnerships and holistic approach. I mentioned in my introductory remarks that we work at different levels. It's not enough to have like private sector development policies any longer. We need targeted, gender-sensitive policies. This is one thing at the macro level, but we also need to strengthen the institutions that support women. This is capacity building. This is what our intervention at the meso level. But entrepreneurship development is key when it comes to women economic empowerment. But to do that, it has been said before me, training, skills, upgrading is crucial. Now that we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution, of course, it will have impact on jobs, but it's not automatic that the lost jobs will be replaced by new ones if no action is taken. We need proactive actions to make sure that we reduce the gap when it comes to the digital sphere as well, because there is a gap. Women are more and more involved in e-commerce, in STEM's activities. So if we manage to upgrade the skills, technological skills, it's proven that their income will increase by 12%. We will also be able to reduce the gap by 2040 for developing countries, by 2060 for the developing countries. So it's very important that we focus on skills development. I also mentioned partnerships. Actually, the conversation we are having today is also part of our partnership with Russia, because we have a project which is a platform for empowering women. It's about awareness raising, it's about experience sharing, it's also about sharing success stories, because it's important to give confidence to women that it's happened somewhere, it could be replicated. Networking is another element of our cooperation with our partners. When we talk about entrepreneurship development, it's important that we strengthen the network of women entrepreneurs. So these are a combination of activities that support women economic empowerment. So it's the partnerships between policymakers, private sector, civil society, especially women associations, are crucial. So I would say partnerships and a holistic approach to support women.
Wonderful partnerships. We can go into exactly into that, Ms. Kadyrova. How is it really for the government, for you to cooperate with other stakeholders? You know, how much do you do it? And how do you measure any results that you have at the end of the day?
Thank you, Selma. I would like to follow up on the issue of employment of women in industry. It's not just the industry that changes. People change. The quality of living changes, and this opens opportunities for women. They can now join various industrial projects. There are new possibilities and new opportunities. Some things that are required today are things like emotional intelligence, the ability to adapt. There are new skill sets like the ability to interact with robots, and this is something that women are very good at. That may be the reason why so many women come to work for aerospace companies. Women are emotional. They can communicate with equipment. As of entrepreneurial work, Veronica said that it's important to build ecosystems. That's very true. Public organizations should work together with non-government organizations. We need to develop leadership programs. It's important to look at the way society feels about women entrepreneurs. We need to encourage women to do business. Women or men, they all need access to money to turn their projects into reality. A banking system should be able to cater for that. There are various tools that we are trying to create in the industry, and you can learn a lot about such instruments at GMIS. Our export center is offering a lot of opportunities. There are financial organizations that offer loans. We see that women play a big role in socially significant projects. That's a big role for women. They're not just doing business, they're trying to address social challenges. And this is something that we should really make use of. Our collaboration with UNIDO is taking place in different areas. We do a lot in development of creativity, and that creates a lot of added value. We work with people who live in small towns, in faraway areas. When a young girl does not know what to do in life, we have ideas that we are willing to share. We offer various solutions. We offer various creativity development programs. Digital technologies make it possible for young girls living in small towns to make it happen. To turn their ideas into reality. We have a textile project, and it's a system that is willing to receive ideas from any place, and the factory will make fabrics according to designs offered by people from different locations. And this opens up an opportunity to earn money wherever a person lives. This is a platform that helps to make product. Small and medium-sized towns may have certain industries, but they are not so good at marketing. And our platform is helping to scale up this business, and I think that has great prospects. Thank you.
It's really fascinating, in fact, how much can be done from the different points of view of the stakeholders. I would like to urge the panel, if you would like to respond to any of the statements from the others, please let me know. With Ms. Nims, you were talking, one of the statements that you made was based on this access, that we are talking about digitalization and all of that, but then at the end of the day, there is no internet, there is no electricity, which is not such a gender issue, but in general then when talking about women, how can we improve that access, or what is it what we can do to really kind of make it happen no matter where they are geographically or the access opportunities?
Yeah, thank you so much. I will respond to this and maybe reflect on some of the issues as well. This is about equality among citizens, and this is the important thing. So while it is important in terms of gender, but it's also important in terms of equality at large. And I think that many governments are already focusing on this when we're talking sustainable development, because we're talking goal 8 as well, inclusiveness, and as I said, equality in terms of sustainable development goal 10, then I think that a lot is on the shoulder of governments in terms of infrastructure and of course the role of the public-private partnership in terms of investment in order to ensure that access is ensured at the level geographically to everyone of the same quality of internet. So in Jordan, we don't have an electricity problem. It's about what type of quality of type of internet access you have. Another area which we need to think of, and I think this is important for financial global institutions to consider, such as the IMF and the World Bank, is the issue of conditionalities on governments when there is an issue of debt and access to loans. Because sometimes when governments are under pressure to have, to create income, sometimes the raise in tax ends up mostly now in VAT, in added value. And sometimes the taxation on the internet is also creating a divide for access because the cost is effective. So for example, in Jordan, we find that there is 80% access for higher income brackets in comparison to lower income brackets. So it's not only quality, but also cost. So this is also about how we look at in developing countries, in developing economies, in economics, how can we support? Because actually sometimes what happens when taxation raises, actually the revenue decreases because the use decreases. So really, we need to look at not only at the infrastructure, but at fiscal policies, and for them to be also gender responsive, and to see how the impact could be of fiscal policies. And this is something actually that we're working on in Jordan and JNCW with UN Women on developing a policy paper on gender responsive fiscal policy, because it really trickles down on the impact of other areas. I want to bring out the issue of financial inclusiveness as well, and the issue of e-wallets. Because also, while now e-wallets are providing new opportunities to access income and salaries without having bank accounts. And this is an area that Jordan is also taking steps towards, because e-wallets ensures, for example, within our regulations now, we put for private schools that they have to do the payments through electronic payments and e-wallets. This ensures pay equity. So also we have to look at how this digitalization can also help us in terms of ensuring equality as well among women. But the last thing I want to focus on is the fact that although we support flexible hours and the issue of working from home, we need to make sure that this does not reinforce that reproductive roles are only women roles. We don't want to end up with women becoming the only carers within the house, and at the same time trying to access more income, while men have jobs, formal jobs, and extra income through these remote jobs. It's about also changing attitudes, changing stereotypes, changing gender roles within the family to ensure that it's about both working and both contributing to responsibilities within the house, so we don't end up with women being burnt out as part of being economically participating in the economy.
Well, the burnout is definitely an issue that we will have strongly within the next 10 to 20 years. It seems that mental health is one of the biggest issues, exactly because of the speed of change that is happening, no matter the gender, and it's very difficult to adapt to this situation and kind of cope with that risk on the one hand, the fear, and then on the other hand, to really the responsibility to learn and adapt to all these new technologies and be part of that. So that that is obviously something that is going to happen, and there's a lot of opportunities there in terms of business. You, as a business person, as an entrepreneur yourself, I would like to hear from you. You're doing a lot of trainings, and you are involved in education and training of entrepreneurs in general, and especially women. How can you really help them cope exactly with this situation, the necessity to learn so much, to change, to have a specific mindset, and then on the other hand, to really deliver and access that information to the entrepreneurs?
Я хотела бы поддержать.
I would like to support Ms. Fatou Haidara in that the development of skills for women is about overcoming some of the significant barriers to starting your own business. And under this project that we are implementing at UNIDO to support women with the financial support of Russia, one of the areas we focus on is to develop and implement a program to give women digital skills for entrepreneurship, for business. It is a program that is supported by an international organization, and because of this, this allows women from all over the world, and primarily from remote small towns, to get access to this knowledge. And I would also like to say that we plan to develop this program in all languages of the United Nations, a family of nations. And this would allow women to get additional tools to start their own businesses and to develop their businesses. Yes, indeed. It is important for women to change their perception of what she is supposed to do. It's also important to understand how she's going to be doing this. It's important to understand what the role models are. It's important to have the tools, financial and non-financial alike. We also have to have e-trade tools available to you, or you have to have finance access tools, including access to private finance and not necessarily banking finance. As soon as the business grows to a level when it becomes interesting to the banking system, that means that this company has already learned how to overcome lack of access to seed financing. That's the problem that is pervasive around the world, the problem of access to financial resources, that is. And another problem is access to the market, both local and international alike. And as was underscored today, by using digital instruments, one can get access to various markets to develop the women's agenda. And to develop it, we need the support of the male community, both the business community and the civil society and the men part of that society. I'm really happy that at this session we have a sizable number of men present in this audience, and it is this support of the male community and the support of men to foster the development of the women's agenda is an important factor of success in my mind. And so we have to have the holistic approach, the government policies, business approaches, to how to develop certain skills and to raise the awareness of certain role models and business models and access to the market. All of these are factors that will play an important role at the community level. If somebody can do this, I can too. That should be the motto.
Definitely agree with that. We say that what you see, you can be in terms of role models, and this is something that is extremely important to show and be present in that sense. Everybody, we're more and more talking about the holistic approach, and there is also a replica you wanted to make, Ms. Haidara.
Yes, thank you. I want to talk about energy. Without energy, no industrial development, no industrial revolution. And UNIDO is the least developing countries are high on UNIDO's agenda. And there, in some areas, energy is an issue, unfortunately. I think this was already mentioned yesterday by both the minister and the DG of UNIDO. The promotion of renewable energy could play a big role in some areas in Africa, Asia, or Latin America. I think this is where it's important to have the policies oriented on women's development. For example, when you talk about energy policies, you make sure that they can be conducive to productive activities for women. For example, in remote areas in Africa, you cannot just think of energy for lighting. It's not enough. At least for UNIDO, the energy policy should be linked with productive activities. So this is the point I want to make, to just stress the fact that we really need this holistic approach when we talk about women economic empowerment.
I would like to go into that. You just said these productive activities, and it is also about really looking at the development, technological development that is ahead of us, that should not be just l'art pour l'art, like developing the technology just because to develop the technology, but really to make it useful to humanity, to the environment, and to a better world. So fully I'm there. You wanted to make a statement before?
I think one statement that I would like to make for business leaders and people who are running companies, I think they need to look at what are the hidden costs associated with inequality. It's easy to understand the tangible cost and calculate it, okay? But there are hidden costs associated with inequality. I'll be very honest with you, I don't have the answer for it, and if there is someone from the audience or here from the panel who would like to comment on this thing and help us to calculate this cost and the associated impact of inequality, especially in monetary terms, that would be helpful.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there is somebody in the audience. Please let us know that you have an answer, or if you want to talk about this issue of the hidden costs. But maybe just maybe on the story of the missed opportunities. We have just now seen the female football World Championship and the U.S. winning. And the interesting fact about it, and it shows the power of female market and female business at the end, or female-related business, is that the T-shirts, the dresses from the players are now the most sold items of Nike, the merchandising. So it means quite a thing for Nike to say this is the best-selling product that we have, and that was a missed opportunity until now. So we might take that into the consideration in terms of hidden costs. It was a missed opportunity. You want to reply?
Also, what's important in this area is to consider women as consumers. And actually, in many areas, well, not in aerospace, but in many other areas, actually, it's women who are consumers. So having more women within business, having women in many fields of businesses, the media, the marketing, the branding, even in industries, in designing industrial products, we need to understand women's needs. And then when we're responsive to that, we will be able to also increase, if we're talking about the hidden cost, it's about hidden profit. If you're responding to the right consumer, your products are going to be more successful to sell, and you will get a better market share. I just want to also be careful always that we have to think that now it's actually, we're expecting that 90% of jobs will require some ICT knowledge and skills. So it's not only about women working in ICT and not only women entrepreneurs. It's about preparing a generation who's able to get jobs in all fields. And because sometimes I feel we put women under a lot of pressure, and even the youth, of the concept of entrepreneurship, which is very important, and I think it's very important for the development of the economy. However, we need to know that sometimes we need employment, we need employees. So it's very important to consider that we give those skills to everyone. When we talk about role models, we talk about role models as entrepreneurs, but also role models who are leading employees and employers. And this is also important, because not everyone will be able to become an entrepreneur. Not everyone is a business owner. I was never that type of person, and I was never interested. And it makes you feel under a lot of pressure. So it's very important when we talk about role models to look at the local role models and to look at the invisible role models and how to bring them to the forefront, who are actually creating solutions that even we women who are always in the forefront might not know about, and we have to learn from and build them. And we need to remember, in many economies, women are mostly in the informal sector. Self-employed women, professionals, even consultants, who are providing professional consultancy services are in the informal sector. So how do we harness that? How we protect those? How we turn these into input into the GDP are also important issues and policies that the governments need to consider in order to make the best potential out of their potential.
We go to a short remark, and then I would like to ask you for a final round of statements. And, what do you want to give the world? We are being live streamed. If there's a message you want to tell to the next generation, among others, of women and men coming up.
If you look at it on the long-term perspective, the empowered women are more inclined to support their girls to go to school. So it's preparing the future generation. So I think the hidden cost of inequality is that more and more women would be excluded from the workforce, from the productive sphere.
Absolutely. Would you like to, we'll start with you, please.
Я бы хотела...
I would like to say that to support women's role in the economy is very important. This means that we pursue the goals of gender equality on the human level and on the legal level, but there's also a great potential for economic growth, especially now as we live under the fourth industrial revolution. Women control 80% of the world consumption. And therefore, their participation in creating promising infrastructure, such as, for example, IoT, will make the lives of each of us much better, because women can take an additional participation in this. And when women have economic opportunities, they would direct them to develop their families, to develop their health and the potential for educating their children. That will make their next generation more competitive as a result.
Salma, please.
I just want to, the wrapping up is actually for us, it's a win-win situation. Equality is a win-win situation. And actually, one last word, work-life balance for men and women. We have to change the face of business. It's about work-life balance for more productivity and for better relations within the household. It's relation between men and their children is as important between women and their children and family.
Absolutely, I can second that, and I think it's almost a round of applause that is needed for that. It is about really combining all of this and holistic approaches. Thank you. Ms. Kadyrova, from your perspective.
I would like to say that the agenda is not that much about equality as it is about opportunity. And I think our goal is to give every girl, regardless of where she comes from, an opportunity to self-implement herself. And a person who is really successful, that means that it's a happy person, and that means happy families, happy children. I mean, you can not really calculate the effect of everyone being happy. Let's think about that.
Have on one hand the hidden cost, but it's also the invisible calculation basically on what happiness brings. I would like to just note a moment here. We are talking about basically human resources and the fourth industrial revolution, and considering a female panel here, we are talking about balancing, about family, about happiness, and also this all of these soft touches that are needed for a better, happier society. And I would like to really, I'm very honored and very happy to be here. I'm a full-blown entrepreneur into investment, into pure business, but it's such a relief to have this view of business. Mr. Haidara.
Thank you. I would say that we need to strengthen the partnerships. I think we can't wait any longer. There is no time, women cannot be, the world cannot be waiting, because without women, nothing will happen. So we need to join our efforts to increase the partnerships and to speed up our support to women. So this would be my last word. Thank you.
Partnering, connecting, especially in a connected world that we live in. It's more opportunities that we have in terms of connecting, but also more pressure to connect better and stronger and faster. Thank you very much. Your final statement.
I guess my final statement would be that it is the responsibility of government leaders as well as business leaders to create a level playing field for everyone and give everyone an opportunity.
Nice, a great, wonderful final statement. In a space where both men and women need to learn how to cope with the future, we have now the opportunity for women to basically leapfrog and not to really go into advance and get there. I would like to, again, thank the organizers and especially UNIDO and the Russian Federation for this panel, because, as we said, what you see, you can be the visibility of best case practices that were spoken about here today are extremely important for others to follow, for others to see that it's possible. And if I can have a statement, make these success stories visible in media, social media, tweet about it. Thank you very much to the panel. A great applause for them, please. And thank you to all of you. You've been a great audience, a mixed audience of both men and women to a better future. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Preradovic, the founder and chief executive officer of 1 Billion Startups, and thank you to her panel as well.